And so happy to be here and with my classmate and friend Kim Boyd.
All right, who's this Kemp boy that you speak of? This well-dressed man. Who are you, Coach? What do you do?
Hey, Coach Kemp Boyd representing here for Love Akron, but also the mighty Kenmore Garfield High School head football coach over there. Just absolutely love what's happening, what's going on, and glad that we can have Akron Public Schools on to kind of, just celebrate them and all the great things that I believe that they're doing and how they have adjusted kind of in this season of COVID-19. So Carla and Lisa, thank you guys so much for taking the time just to be on with us to allow us to celebrate Akron Public Schools.
Well, thanks for having me, Kemp. I appreciate it.
Oh man, it is exciting, and just to let you guys know, we are going live. We're going live on YouTube, Facebook, and we sent out a link through LinkedIn. So if you want to share that around, we got a bunch of people on here. We got Marie. She says, "Woo woo!" As soon as Kemp was like talking about Kenmore, so you got a Kenmore fan there, right there. KGHS. Oh yeah, got it. Okay, I put all that together. Thank you, Tracy.
Garfield High School.
I felt it as soon as I read it. Oh man. Okay, so I wanted to start off our conversation today. We've been highlighting many Akron change makers, and we believe wholeheartedly that you two are Akron change makers. Tell me what this process has been like, going from hey, everything's fine, everything's normal, to overnight nobody's able to come to school. Nobody's able to. No, sorry.
Let me jump in for 1 second, Ben. What I want to say is that we nominated, or at least I nominated, Akron Public Schools as the change maker. So don't want whether it's Carla, whether it's Lisa, to feel like we're singling them out, but we're saying Akron Public Schools as a whole. We identify you guys as change makers of how you guys have handled this season of COVID-19. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
And the way that you guys have loved Akron. So let me start actually with Carla then. Tell me a little bit what it's been like the last number of months. I actually live in Cuyahoga Falls, so I don't know everything that has gone into Akron Public Schools, but I would love to hear how it's been.
Well, Ben, like the rest of the country and the world, right? It became necessary to make huge shifts in the way we deliver education. And I have to tell you that we have what I consider to be an awesome team, including our board at the Akron Public Schools. Our superintendent, the assistant superintendent, all of our directors and division leaders were able to pull together with feedback from our teachers and our frontline staff to flip our district to 100% virtual online learning in a matter of weeks. I know Lisa will share more about that, but just the fact that we did that and we did that together and we're able to launch it successfully is just amazing to me.
All right, how about for you, Lisa? Hearing that, what was the we use this word pivot a lot. What has the pivot been like?
The pivot was huge, right? I mean, the off switch, it was not a trickle, it was an off, right? So it was you are not coming to school starting Monday. It's done, right? So we've all gone to traditional school. We're fortunate in Akron that we did have an online presence already. We had an APS online. So we had a model that we could play off of, but that was nothing compared to the K-12 transition that we've done that has just been, my friend always comes and joins me. She knows when I'm on Zoom. I've got a cat who's going to join. But it's just been amazing to see what our teachers and staff. So if you were, say, a middle school teacher and you had all these different classes, can you imagine taking all that curriculum, projects you were going to do, the presentations you were going to make, the lesson plans you had, and taking those in just a few weeks and turning that into a virtual world. We managed to shift our offices and our class, those kind of things, our meetings like this into virtual, but nothing was like what our teachers were able to do in less than 3 weeks time. And what's amazing is for a district the size of Akron to be doing that is amazing. We're doing it and grading. So it's not like we're just doing enrichment or we're just doing bits and pieces. We are doing real learning in real time every day.
Oh my goodness. I love it. Gregory Harrison actually asked, he says, how many APS students are actively participating in online learning? Just so we can understand that scale, like how many students?
So it started out, what we saw and what we watched first, from my understanding, and I'll bow to Carla, who does this every day. But my understanding is we started out with connectivity, right? Because how did we know who could get online and who couldn't? So we started watching that because we can see that at a district level, who was able to connect. And we've quickly found out that about 75 to 85% of our students were able to connect, even if they weren't doing schoolwork yet, not judging that, but they had connectivity. And then once we came off of our a time where we were adjusting, we shifted to, do you have a hotspot? And we sent thousands of there were a few thousand students who hadn't connected at all. So we got out there with hotspots, some donated, some purchased by the district, to make sure that that connectivity happened. So that was the big first step, right? Not everyone has internet in their house, so we had to make that available first. Carla, do you want to piggyback off that?
Yeah, so our latest numbers are about just under 19,000 of our Akron Public School students are connected. And so as Lisa shared, that is a huge part to online learning. And if you take that 19,000, there's about 44% of them who are actively participating, doing everything that they need to do, and another 41% or so who are participating, maybe inconsistently at times, consistently at others. And as Lisa shared again, about 2,000 of our students we knew didn't have connectivity. So we got to work quickly on identifying options for them, whether it be community locations and or the purchase of hotspots, which our board approved purchases of hotspots that have allowed us to get kids connected. We also have a number of community partners that are joining us in the effort to ensure that all students are connected. Organizations like our Summit County Department of Job and Family Services, our local sororities and fraternities, the NAACP, individuals in our community who are stepping up to assist in supporting hotspots for students. So our community has come together to support our students.
I love hearing about that, and especially just hearing different individuals across different sectors. And what I heard there in the facts is 19,000 students, but understanding that a lot of them didn't have internet, which is kind of we get so used to it. It's kind of like running water at this point. We're like, oh yeah, everybody's got internet. No, that's not true. Right. And we've been talking here on Love Akron Live about how it's the same pandemic, but it affects people differently. The picture we've put on it is like we're all experiencing the same wave, but we're all in different sized ships. And if you had a raft with a hole in it beforehand, that's going to be different than the battleship, just the way you feel this wave. So, Coach, I saw you raising your hand earlier, my friend. Coach, what you got?
Yeah, I just want to just talk about and compliment a little bit of, I love the progression of the steps that APS took to say, hey, let's just see how many of our students are actually connected, if you will. That's what we really have to know and identify. And so I appreciate you all taking that step, say, let's identify, because even though we've been thrusted in this situation, let's not thrust our students and their families in the situation, right? Let's kind of meet them where they are. So I appreciate that. I know I had a couple of my own football players that reached out to me and says, hey, coach, I don't have internet. So I immediately called our principal, and I'm going to give her a shout out, Catherine Rodocker, who I think is the best principal in all of Akron Public School. She does a great job. But immediately, she responded and says, hey, I'm putting an order in right now. We're going to be able to get this to them within the week. And so those are the things I think that I appreciated, because sometimes it can feel, I know for me, helpless, but I didn't want my players to feel that way. So I want to say thank you for giving me, I think, the supports I need, even as a football coach, as an outside or of an outside teacher, if you will, as far as athletics, just some of those same resources that I could help to give to my players as well. So I really appreciate you all helping to meet the students and their families where they are. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, let me just say, Kim, that this doesn't happen without engaged families. So we need to give a shout out to our Akron Public School families too, because this is no easy task. I feel fortunate that I don't have to provide online instruction at home because I don't have school-age children living with me, but I can only imagine the challenge of working or dealing with other stressors in your life, and now having to be responsible for ensuring that your students are learning as well. And so the more support we can provide as a district, the better. We're in a new normal, and we know that our parents have become co-teachers with us, and we need to walk alongside them to ensure that our students are supported in the ways that they need it the most.
Amen.
Man, and it's such a as a parent myself with kids running around, man, once again, just shout out to the parents and all of those that are, one, you're not alone. Two, this is frustrating. And three, what I've seen and heard, you guys have been working tirelessly at this to make this the best it can be for the students. So Lisa, I actually got a couple questions from those here live. Let me pull it up. This question says, wow, around 50% not actively participating in daily schoolwork. How can we draw the kids to be active on a daily basis? So how would you answer that, Lisa?
Sure. I think that's when we definitely have to count on not just our parent partners, like Carla said, but also I'll leave her to talk a little bit about our connectors in our community that we've put out there. So some of them can be just like what Kemp just talked about, right? Somebody that they trust, that students or families reach out to, whether it's a teacher, a principal, a coach, someone else in their community who they feel can help advocate for them. Those are really big things too, right? So I'd like Carla to talk about it, because I know that she does have a lot to do with our connectors. I know that that's been huge. So what the connectors did, I can just talk to you a little bit about that, is when we find those students who they get a grade for attendance every week, and that attendance is based on that participation level. That doesn't mean that you get on for the same amount of hours that you would if you were doing a 6-hour or 7-hour school day, but it means that you've actively participated, you've finished assignments, you've completed them. The partial ones, maybe they got on, but they didn't do everything for their week, or bits and pieces. And then we've got the ones that just aren't connecting. So if we do have that lower participation, we're going to send somebody out. We're going to call the house, we're going to email. And then what the connectors then can even do is actually go knock on the door and say, what help can we give you? How can we support? So it's not just leaving you out there in your boat, whatever it is, right? And the example I heard that I love was people kept saying, we're all in this together, or we're all in the same boat. And that's not true. We're all in the same storm, but we're not all in the same boat. So those connectors are going out and saying, what do you need? Is it a resource? Is it extra support? Do you need us to check in? Do you need tutoring? The University of Akron's helping with homework. There are so many places, but sometimes you don't even know what to ask for, right? It's like, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't even know, but maybe talking to someone else can help identify that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Carla.
So the connectors work is really important. We're asking our schools to be really diligent in following up on the students within their buildings that are not showing up as we would like them to. And of course, when we make those calls home, we know there are lots of reasons for that for many of our students. Connectivity is one, but as I mentioned before, it could be situations related to illness in the home, other responsibilities that children are taking on for younger siblings, distractions that we may not always think about. So when those calls are made home based on participation or actually any need, any teacher can refer to a connector based on what they think might be going on or additional support needed in the home. When those calls are made, we do our very best to ensure that, one, they're connected to the internet, and there's an elite team of folks. Shout out to our elite team. They know who they are. Their job is to get students connected. Their entire work is about 100% connectivity. So they're not going to let a family go if the issue is you're not connected to the internet. We're going to figure that out. The second thing is just to make sure that people are okay. Some of the work that I'm hearing from connectors is around being sure that people know what resources are available in the community, whether that be food resources or other basic needs support that families may be struggling with today. So we do have a partnership with our United Way of Summit County, and we work very closely with their 211 resources, but also our mental health partners in the community, Minority Behavioral Health, Red Oak Behavioral Health, Child Guidance Family Solutions, and all of the others who are at the ready to receive referrals from our schools. And then there are employment needs that families have, and we very quickly tapped into employment resources through the Raise Good Jobs for Greater Akron program, which I know Kemp is familiar with. So, part of it is ensuring that learning continues and is taking place as far as the connectors work. But the other part is ensuring that people are okay and that we can connect them to the resources they need for their families.
Man, I just love the three-dimensional approach that you're taking. That it's not just oh well, let's just get the kids sit down with a screen with learning and it's all going to be okay. It's like we're real people here, man. Like this is craziness. But I love the response instead of reaction. I have a bunch of questions, guys. Everybody that is, please put all those questions in. We might not get to all of them today, but we'll make sure that we do follow up and make sure those questions are answered. But I would love to put this question out there. A simple one is, so how does one become a connector? This is from Pam.
Well, principals identify connectors for their buildings. They are typically those non-instructional staff who have the relationships we are looking for with students, who already understand a student's home life and situation and can have real conversations with people. I couldn't call them customer service agents because that's not who they are, but connectors was a much better term that I believe came from our teaching staff. They are people who are able to reach out in a personable way and provide guidance and support. So this is not a let's call and hammer you about the number of days you've been online or not. This is what can we do to help? So a principal identifies the connector. They've not had any problem doing so. There's about 258, 60 of them across our district, serving buildings in that way.
Man, I love that. I'm just going through a bunch of these wonderful questions. Here was one that came up from Anne. Says, so if those 44% of kids aren't participating, and I know this is an odd question, it's all off the cuff, so I'll give you a second. Will they be able to move up to the next grade level? Will they graduate? Will they fail?
So it's 40%, 40.9% we call inconsistent participating, not, and I want to be very clear, it's not, quote, not participating, right?
Gotcha.
It's inconsistent in some way, as Lisa suggested. Perhaps they're not on every day. Perhaps they've completed some of the assignments and not all of the assignments. But our guidance on grading comes from the Ohio Department of Education. And the grading guidance went out to teachers from the curriculum assistant superintendent, Dr. McWilliams Woods, on yesterday, I believe, or the day before. And so if you have questions regarding grading, she is definitely the person to ask. I can share her guidance with you offline if you'd like to know more.
Awesome. And if you guys don't mind, anything after our live stream, if you can just kind of go through the comments, comment back on a couple of them, that would be fantastic. What I'm hearing though is has been such a good connection of the community. What are ways I'd love to shift it though? Is what are needs? Because one of the things that we do here at Love Akron is we love connecting and making people aware across all sectors of Akron, because there might we always joke around about this, and Coach will just laugh at me because I say this too much, but like that we lovingly call me the ignorant white male. I mean that in the most positive way possible, in the sense that we don't always know what's going on in Akron public schools when you're in the suburbs of Akron. So I would love to talk about ways that greater Akron can really rally together with inner Akron, if that makes sense. And you can just laugh at me and say.
So I'll throw in, I even wore my Live United shirt today to even remind me that United Way is an incredible partner with us. And so if people are looking for a monetary way, the United Way is being incredibly generous with us in this time of need. I know that Dr. McWilliams Woods recently spoke to a Rotary in Akron and talked about, looking ahead even into next year, which we're already deep into planning for next year. I know Carla's highly involved in that and trying to figure out, without a crystal ball or without any way of knowing exactly what it's going to look like, what we might have to do next year. And one of the things has been, we are going to need an extraordinary amount of masks that will fit children, even if we're only on a partial learning basis. Again, yet to be determined, not for sure, but assuming things are, let's just say we pick today up and we put it into September and we can partially go back to school and have some kind of blended where kids are in the building part of the time, we may need masks for little people. So that might be a nice way. GAR and Goodwill are being incredibly generous as well in doing a partnership with that. Oh, I know I'm missing 1,000 things, but those are, here's one that I think is a great way to help too. We're doing meals for the students. Any Akron child, they don't have to be an Akron student. They don't have to be, they can be a charter school, private school. As long as they live in the city of Akron and they're between the ages of 1 and 18, we are feeding them breakfast breakfast and lunch every day, Monday through Thursday, at our schools, 9:30 to 11:30. Not everyone can get there. It's really easy if you can drive up, walk up. But if you do live at a distance, there are some areas that are more difficult to get to. And we're working hard to cover those neighborhoods. We've done a few partnerships where they're giving out food. And as the summer comes on, I know that's going to change a little bit, and we'll put out as much information and guidance as we can. But neighbors can pick those up for their neighbors. If you've got a family next door who has 6 children who can't load them all in the car and take them up, you can do that for them. You can tell them, here's where these kiddos live. Now, we do love to see their faces. We like knowing they're okay. It's a nice way for us to check in. We have fantastic staff up there that would love to see their faces as well. A walking school bus is a nice way to do it too, where y'all walk up together during that 9:30 and 11:30, socially distanced, of course. But that would be another way you can help people in your neighborhood, is making sure they're getting those breakfasts and lunches.
Man, I love that, Coach. Just to bring you on there, I saw you kind of did one of these. What you thinking, man?
Yeah, kind of. I want to start to, and I love how Dr. Ellen talked about looking ahead and progressing ahead. I think that's very important because we can get so consumed with the moment and being in this moment. But also just, Ben, you haven't had the opportunity to meet Miss Carla Chaplin in person like I have. So she undersells herself. She was a former basketball star at over at North, and I was outside, Carl, just so you know. I was working on my North. I'm sorry. I messed it up. My bad.
You, Carla.
My bad. I'm doing that to stick a little bit because I was outside earlier today to have Carla, working on my jump shot because I know I was coming on with you today. I wanted to be ready to compete at a really high level because she's smiling right now and she's being nice and she's being sweet, but there's a competitive streak down in there. Okay, but as we look ahead, I have the opportunity to serve with Carla on a couple of different committees throughout the years, but I want to kind of ask you, Carla, about a committee that you're helping to champion and campaign right now, this APS Get to School campaign. Tell us a little bit about that, because that seems like it's more of a forward-thinking campaign as we move forward, if you will, out of COVID-19.
Yeah, so the Akron Schools is very fortunate to be able to partner with our Akron Education Association and the Cleveland Browns Foundation. This is a statewide initiative that is all about encouraging students to stay in school, stay in the game is the tagline, get to school, stay in the game, and to continue to strive toward excellence in terms of their participation in school. So Kemp knows we launched this campaign in February with about 50 members of our community representing all sectors, public, private, some faith-based, as well as youth and family serving agencies. And Get to School, Stay in the Game is all about how we continue to encourage our students to be a part and to take ownership of their learning. You'll start to see a soft launch of social media posts coming soon this summer. You'll see parked bus banners at our summer feeding sites. You'll start to see yard signs going up and around town. We are planning a special kickoff event in August, and more information will be coming out soon about that. So we're going to look to continue messaging, to continue opportunities to highlight our students, to work with the Cleveland Browns Foundation, our AEA, Teachers Union, throughout the school year, so that we can encourage participation in whatever model of school will be existing at that time. So just remember, get to school, stay in the game. You'll all see posts on Facebook via our Akron Public Schools social media accounts. Even my personal Facebook account shares the stay in the game messages, as well as Lisa's. I've seen her on there liking and sharing those posts. So yeah, stay tuned for more information about that. Anyone who is interested in being a part of helping us to spread the word on that work, feel free to reach out to me.
Oh man. So just to get that straight, is that a hashtag tag?
It is a
was it
hashtag. Get
There
to
we go.
school, stay in the game, or hashtag stay in the game.
Stay in the game. Oh, see, this is why I did that. Is I just wanted to wrap around and make sure that we give your alma mater the correct name. So, where did you play wonderful basketball?
Hey, I don't even know what that school is called. Does that school even have a name? Does that school even have a name?
Okay, so
I got a name. Hold
the
on.
school is the Ohio State University,
Woo!
but
That's right.
I I have to say that Kent gives me way more praise than necessary. It was so long ago now, Benjamin, that I barely recall playing basketball.
Oh, whatever.
Hey, Ben, let me just read off her official title. It seems like they keep adding language to her title. So she is the Community Relations, Diversity, and Equity and Inclusion. Like it come, I think 2021, we're going to add on something else because that's how valuable she is in Akron Public Schools. She won't say that, but I will say that for her. And I won't have any repercussions come at me. So, but Love Akron is very happy to be a part of the Get to School campaign. We believe that is important. And I love what you just said about how do we bring all these people across sector together to focus on something together. And that's where we make collective impact. So love that so much.
Oh,
Thank
man.
you. Thank you for your participation.
Oh, you bet, man. We love Akron. So one of the pieces, this is kind of a harder question, just to pivot a little bit, because that's kind of the word of the year is pivot. So saying this is a tap dance show. I'm out here. Don't break your shoulders right now, patting yourself on the back. 50% of the youth are not actively participating and will fail, and you guys have nothing in order to stop that. Calling all coaches, check on your players, make sure they are doing their well. Explain to them the GPAs in sports. And it sounds like one of those situations, man. Like, I think Coach and I were just talking about this before the stream. We're all just done. I'll be honest. Like, I wish we could just say COVID-19's done. Everybody go back to normal. Like,
yeah.
Like, so talk to me a little bit, kind of responding to that. 50%, is that something we should be excited about? What are we saying?
No, so I'm going to take the liberty to share grading guidance that comes from our assistant superintendent, because I do want to answer that question and I don't want to skirt over it either. But we're saying to our teachers that students who were making appropriate progress before our buildings were closed. So if you were doing everything that you needed to do, staying on top of everything that was required of you as a student before, I think March 17th was the date, you're going to be just fine. You are not going to be disadvantaged by this new way of teaching and learning. If you were at risk, there's a very good chance that you're likely to be doing better during this time of connected learning. And so you could benefit from this personalized approach that's taking place right now. Teachers are going to do everything possible to ensure that students are going to get the supports that they need. in order to work on those things that could be missing, to support them on a case-by-case basis. And so we know that due dates are flexible and accommodations for students who need that extra time and are unable to access the internet. We're going to be flexible enough to make those accommodations for students. So these are different times, and the way we operated prior to March 17th is not the way that we're operating now. And so if there is any parent, any community person who is concerned about a student, I would encourage you to reach out to the teacher and or your principal and have that conversation. And I think that you'll be pleasantly surprised at the supports we have in place for students to keep them moving in the right direction.
Lisa, I'd love to go over to you hearing that concept, because it's the kind of thing where, like, if someone is discouraged today watching this with either their child or a child they know in the community, how would you encourage them today, at least knowing more of the internal sides of APS?
Well, I think what Carla stated can't be overstated, and that is, if you were on track, you're going to be fine. It's not that none of this counts. It all counts. It can especially improve where you were on March 17th, right? If you were doing poorly and you were, now maybe you're doing credit recovery and you've got a chance to recover things even quicker than you might have when you had to be in classes all the time and things were different. So having had a student that did do online through Akron Public Schools for 2 years due to health reasons, some students really do better under this. Again, this is not a storm of our making, right? So we have had to take what we've got. We've turned around a district that's one of the top 5-ish, where we go 5, we go 6 biggest urban districts in the entire state of Ohio. We are accomplishing fantastic things. And no, we're not saying victory here. We're not saying mission accomplished. We're not saying we are done. We don't need you people out there in the community. We're saying we need you more than ever. And we're saying we are working. We are never going to be satisfied as long as any child is not connecting. Let's just be realistic, though. If we all know students who've been in school, not everyone succeeds on a daily basis. We don't pass every child. We don't have everyone successful in a classroom model either. They need those extra interventions. So that we need extra interventions, that we need a village, is not an unusual thing. Coaches, yes, please. Coaches are incredibly influential, and I'm not just saying that because Kemp is on here. We need coaches, we need pastors, we need other influential community members. Grandparents can be great as checking in. Maybe they can't see their grandchild, but they can check. Hey, let me log in with you and show me what you're doing on school. And you can actually show them the work and the projects that you're doing. Our website is incredibly comprehensive for community members as well as parents and families. So I would encourage people to look at that as well and see
what's the website real quick, just so I can just so I can post that.
It's apslearns.org, Carla, right?
APS Connected Learning.
That's the page.
And if you go to akronschools.com, you'll see that pop right up on the home screen.
And there's all kinds of COVID. COVID is very highlighted on how, and the superintendent sends out an email daily highlighting not just the good, but the truth. He is not sugarcoated. He literally has a daily email that goes out to families. And they're all on our website as well. You can read back through all 50 some of them and see what he said every day. And there's a lot of great links on there that are not just helpful and encouraging, but also tell the good, the bad. And this is an ugly, ugly time in our society where we need to take care of each other more than ever, not turn it into any kind of finger pointing or backpatting. It's about coming together.
Yes, and that's, guys, those that are joining us, Lisa, thanks for commenting on that, and Carla. My name's Benjamin Beaver. This is actually Love Akron Live, and we are highlighting Akron Public Schools and just maybe hear us right, because earlier somebody said, "Are you just patting yourself on the back?" No, but as Love Akron, we want to encourage these ladies and those that are all connected to APS, guys. Like, you're doing a great job at doing your best during these craziness, pandemic and everything. A couple other questions that came up says, this is encouraging. I love that APS has put the students' needs ahead of the curriculum. Grace has been shown to all. Curriculum is still being presented. Students are being pursued, and learning is taking place. I wanted to make sure you guys heard that. What does that make you think, though, when you hear that? I see Carla smiling, laughing. What you thinking over there?
Well, we appreciate that. And honestly, we are like any other huge system, business operation in our community right now that is making the necessary efforts to adapt. And this change is not easy. It won't be easy. But I think we're moving in the right direction. And I believe that this situation presents incredible opportunities for our students and our staff. We're not, I heard someone say, we're not ever going back to our old normal. This is a new normal. So we have to continue to look forward, not back, and grow out of this situation. And in the words of my friend Crystal Jones, if you're listening, bloom from where we are planted.
Bloom, man, I gotta put that in the comments here. Bloom from where we are planted. Oh, I love that. And so really you're speaking to the resiliency of our city.
Yeah.
And we're growing in that, and just like any kind of growing pains, it's difficult. I love what Gregory Harrison says here. He's like, this is not a question, but just a comment. I think this time of home instruction illuminates the challenges in schools, what they faced, and more importantly, the challenges some of these children face at home. If learning is secondary to daily survival, learning is negatively impacted. What sounds like criticism can simply be an unpleasant reality. Gregory, thank you for that question, man. And Lisa, could you just speak into that for just a second? Because I hear you saying that from an academic side, and then Coach, if you could jump in there too, kind of that looking at a student in the 3D, how is that true that if the basic needs aren't being met at home, school is going to fall low on the priority list? Lisa.
Well, I mean, that goes to basic education 101 class where you learn, or psych, where you learn Maslow's hierarchy, right? If those basic needs aren't taken care of, nothing else is going to happen. And we believe that in Akron Public Schools wholeheartedly. Our community resource centers that we've been able to stand up, not just at our I Promise school, but at Robinson and Helen Arnold schools, are proof of that's the direction we believe in going, is that until those wraparound services are taken care of, expecting children to excel they're going to excel in spite of all of their circumstances, because they always do, right? Several of us are examples of that in our lives, right? Where we've excelled in spite of it. But if you can take away barriers like food insecurity or shelter or those basic things, our students deal with those outside of COVID-19. This is not a new concept to Akron Public Schools. So we wholeheartedly believe that it all has to be wrapped around for care, mental health, just all of the basic needs. And academics are, of course, what we're there for. But until we meet those, like Mr. Harrison said, this is just taking what we've already known and bubbling it up to the surface where everyone else can see it. And we see this every day. So the needs have changed because they may be greater, and we're not seeing our students every day, but we know that these are the same needs that they had when they were in our classrooms every day.
Yeah, I think to piggyback on that, I think when times like this happen, you begin to, I think it's easy to say the type of, whether it's coach or a teacher you are, when things are going well and things are going right. And you've heard me talk about this before, Ben, but I realized years ago the type of coach that I wanted to be was more of one that was a transformational versus transactional. And now you have to lean on, is that what you're really about, right? Because now that we don't have the football happening, our workouts and those type of things, but when one of my players calls me or messages me and say, "Hey, coach, man, listen, I just got kicked out of my house. What does that look like?" And for me to say, "Hey, if you need somewhere to stay, regardless of COVID-19 or not, man, I got a place for you." Those are the transformational things, because I want to create and build transformational leaders. In order to do that, I have to kind of be an example. But in order to do that, you have to be willing to roll up your sleeves, man, and get your hands dirty. This is not a cookie cutter to where everybody has the same thing going on and everything is good and right and nothing's messy. I knew, and this is why I choose to stay in Akron Public Schools to coach, is because it has enhanced my ability as a leader to be an adaptive leader, to be able to say, hey, how do I canoe the mountains, if you will, right? How do I lead off the map? And this is off the map leadership right now. I'm leading off of the map. The map says, hey, it's May, school's about to be up, we got weightlifting, June is going to start workouts, and you're building this plan, this schedule, not just for your players, but also for your coaches, because I got coaches, right, where they got to know when they need to take time off, and hey, I need to know this, and we got vacations and all these other things. Now it's about me growing in my leadership capacity to be able to lead off the map, my players and my coaches, to say, hey, here's the adjustment we're going to make. I need you guys to go and let's utilize a Zoom account. Let's get on Google Classroom. Let's start meeting with our players. Not just to talk about football, but talk about basic needs. What is it that you need right now? And if you need something, man, this is why we're here for. Over the past few weeks, man, I can't tell you the number of times I've had kids call me to say, hey, I'm going to leave this out on my porch for you. Just come and get it. I have it for you. And guess what? An hour later, it's gone. Now, not anybody's taking it, but they are coming by to get it. And they'll let me know, like, hey, thanks, coach. I appreciate it. To where we just had one of our kids receive a scholarship 2 weeks ago. And so being able to walk them through that process with college coaches of what that looked like, because, yeah, you can't go take a college visit. I had to tell a young man, he was like, coach, man, who don't want to be courted, And he says, I want to go see all these guys. I said, brother, that ain't happening. So here's the thing. What's best for you right now? And when you went and visited that college, what did you feel? And so it's helping them to walk through this new normal, because, man, I've learned that, the mission trumps. And if people won't follow you on the map, they're not going to follow you off the map. But this has caused me, I think, as a leader and as a coach, man, to really do some things differently. But also it's a great transformational process for our players to say, hey, and I tell our players this all the time, they're more of my hero to them, and they've taught me more than what I could ever teach them because of their resiliency. And this is another opportunity for them to answer the bell of resiliency that they've had to do for the past 15 years. I mean, you think about that. Like, I was the youngest in my family. So some of my players, man, they are the father figure in their home, to where they're getting together their younger siblings, getting them ready, doing these type of things, also working a job. But then I'm looking to beat the mess out of them, man, in football practice, and they're showing up every day. So they have already portrayed the resiliency that they need to go through this type of a season. And it does nothing but fortify who they are as people. And so for me to have the opportunity to speak into them in that way, it's just, man, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to canoe the mountains with them.
Oh, man.
And let's remember that we have nearly 1,400 high school seniors getting ready to graduate within the Akron Public Schools. And so they have achieved a goal, one of many that they'll achieve in their lives. And so we should also be celebrating that.
Yes. Agreed.
Man, I just want to go back real quick, and all those that graduated, good job. That's what we're saying, man.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. It's big, guys. And I'd love to kind of end on this note, ladies. One, thank you so much, and I know you are just as good. You're only as good as the team that you lead, and there's so many more people that are with you guys. But what I would love to do is actually bring back around something that community leader, good friend of ours, partner, Bishop Joey Johnson said, and I think it's exactly like. It's so cool getting to see cross sector that it's like that's what it is. He said we have to value the conversation.
Mhm.
And what I'm hearing from Coach as well is, a conversation, it's got to be back, it's got to be forth, it's got to be listening and learning and not just giving people plans. Like, so tell me, if somebody's watching this, real practical, I'm talking like the simplest step they can take. We talked about wonderful things at United Way of helping financially. Great. I'm saying specifically relationally. How can somebody help those that are in Akron public schools today?
Well, I'm going to keep it really simple. Each one, reach one.
Absolutely.
Each one, reach one. Woo! We got another quotable. Each one.
It's not mine.
Reach one.
It's not new, but I mean, it is the simplest denominator, right?
Yeah, and so some. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, I just wanted some that to piggyback on that. Is a quote I learned yesterday that made a lot of sense to me. The first thing when you start talking about vision or having a vision statement is more of a vision statement is more of a being. I'm sorry. And that matter of fact, that was hey, I'm not trying to name drop here, but that was Bishop Johnson that I just read button and said I kid back with you. So
here, hold on, let me hashtag Bishop.
Bishop
interrupted.
And we take live calls. Let's
Yeah.
take a live call.
There you go.
Sorry, go ahead.
But a vision is about being, and a mission is about doing. Going back to I think in us, and that was him again. But to piggyback on what Carla just said, it says if you want to reach people no one else is reaching, you have to do things no one else is doing. And I think that's important. We can sit back all day on the sidelines or on the bench and talk about all the other things. But, man, we have, I think, young people and families out there that are desiring to be reached, that whether it's fear, whether it's through procrastination, or whether it's through just being a spectator and sitting back and waiting for somebody else to do it. I agree with Carl. It's just about getting off and just go and do. Reach someone else that no one else is reaching. And, if you want to see something that you've never seen. So I agree with that.
I love that. Lisa, anything else of wisdom that you'd want to put on top of that, or just echoing what they're saying?
Well, I would definitely echo what they're saying. I would also love to give one more shout out to our teachers. I think that if there's anything that this has taught us as a general public, it is how important public education is to our community and how it affects so many people's daily lives, whether it is those free breakfasts and lunches or whether it's the way that your children are taken care of while you're at work. We're noticing, and not only did they take their lives and they're home doing all the things we're doing, right, but they're also teaching students, and sometimes those students are reaching out at times that they wouldn't necessarily be teaching. Now they are. So a student might reach out at 10 o'clock at night because that's when they had a chance to get on a computer, or they might, message and need some help. And so I know some of the teachers are working so many more hours with this. So just, this is Love Akron. So I would be remiss if I didn't say, please pray for them. Please say a prayer for our teachers. Please say a prayer for our students. We're used to seeing their faces every day. And like I said, one of the things I love the most about our food program is a lot of times we get to see them and just know they're okay. And people didn't go into education because they wanted to be separated. We go into education, people go into education because they want to touch lives and see students and watch those light bulbs go off. So this is hard. And so I would echo everything everyone else said. Go knock on someone's door, make sure they're okay if there's kids, or just talk to your neighbor.
Man, I just love that. And I love that we've gotten to spend this time together. A couple quick kind of are you about out, Coach? Well, what we got to do right before we end? One, if you are looking for an opportunity to pray, 10 at 10 on Transform Summit through Facebook. We actually pray in general for Akron, and then on Mondays, and I can't remember the time off the top of my head. Does Coach remember?
7 to 7:15, we have a prayer educational conference call that we do every Monday from 7 to 7:15.
Because we want to pray for you, teachers, and thank you, teachers, all across Greater Akron. So what we say, ladies, at the end of all this, because we've had such a fun time, thank you again. All you have to do is answer "Love Akron." And then
Ben, do you need the number for the prayer conference call line?
Well, shoot, yeah, man, let's put it up there.
All right, it's 605.
All right, 605
313
313
5111.
5111. And you said 7 to 7:30, right?
Yes.
7 to 7:15.
Yes, 7 to 7:15. Correct.
Every Monday.
And so
right,
the access code is, the access code is 353-399 because we want people on that line praying.
353-359.
353-399. Access code.
399. Yes.
Yes.
There we go. All right. So I'll get access code right there for everybody. Join us on Monday. And all we have to answer with this, ladies, is that Love Akron. So this is kind of how we sign off is, man, we've had a great time today. And no matter where you are, no matter what you do, make sure today that you
love Akron.
Love Akron. Love you guys.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.